My husband signed our divorce papers laughing in my face, completely certain I would walk away with nothing but the clothes on my back and my pride. Little did he know, I was about to drop a financial bomb that would wipe out his entire empire. Hey guys, welcome back. Grab a coffee, get comfortable, and let me tell you about the most satisfying day of my life. If you've ever loved someone who took your kindness for weakness, who thought they could build their entire future on your back and then throw you away like trash, the story is for you. My name is Clara, and for 5 years, I was married to Mark. When we met, Mark was a struggling junior associate at a mid-sized corporate firm. He had ambition, sure, but he also had a mountain of student debt, zero savings, and a wardrobe that screamed thrift store clearance rack. I, on the other hand, came from a completely different background. My grandfather was an early investor in commercial real estate, and when he passed away, he left me a substantial trust fund. But here's the thing about me. I hate flash. I drive a 10-year-old Honda Civic, I wear plain jeans, and I worked a quiet, low-paying job as an archivist at a local university just because I genuinely loved history and books. When Mark and I started dating, I didn't hide my background, but I didn't broadcast it either. I wanted a man who loved me for me, not my bank account. And for a while, I thought Mark was that man. He was charming, attentive, and told me constantly that money didn't matter, that as long as we had each other, we could conquer the world. Oh, how quickly people change when real money enters the picture. About 2 years into our marriage, my trust fund fully unlocked. Suddenly, I had access to liquid capital that could buy houses outright. Mark's eyes lit up the day the portfolio transferred to my name. Overnight, his attitude shifted. He started suggesting we invest my money. He convinced me to let him manage our combined finances because, as he put it, as a corporate guy, I understand the market better, babe. Let me handle the heavy lifting. Being a supportive, trusting wife, I handed the keys over. I let him take the lead. Big mistake. Huge. Within 3 years, Mark climbed the corporate ladder. Largely, I later found out, by using my family's network and connections that I quietly pulled strings for behind the scenes. But as his career skyrocketed, his ego exploded right along with it. He went from driving that beaten-up sedan to leasing a brand new BMW. He started working late at the office. He started looking at me, the woman who had supported him through his poorest, most stressful nights, like I was an embarrassing relic from his past. The breaking point happened on a rainy Tuesday in October. I came home early from the university because I wasn't feeling well. The front door was unlocked. As I walked down the hallway toward our master bedroom, I heard laughing, a woman's voice, flirtatious and high-pitched. I pushed the door open, and there was Mark, tangled up in the sheets with a junior marketing executive from his firm, a woman named Chloe, who routinely posted about her designer handbags on Instagram. Did Mark look guilty? Did he scramble to cover up? Absolutely not. He looked at me, pulled the duvet up over Chloe's shoulders, and smirked. He actually smirked. "Well, Clara," Mark said, his voice dripping with absolute contempt. "I guess you finally saw what you weren't supposed to see. Saves us both the awkward conversation, honestly. I was going to wait until the end of the quarter, but let's just rip the Band-Aid off. I want a divorce." I stood there, frozen for a second. The betrayal cut deep, slicing straight through my chest. But something inside me didn't break. It hardened. The sweet, quiet archivist vanished in that exact second, and the granddaughter of a ruthless real estate tycoon woke up. "A divorce," I repeated, my voice completely deadpan. "Yes, a divorce," Mark laughed, shaking his head. "And don't bother hiring some high-priced shark of an attorney, Clara. You make 35 grand a year at the library. You can't afford a lawyer. I've already consulted with legal counsel. Because of prenuptial clauses and how I've structured our recent asset growth under my corporate umbrella, everything we've accumulated over the last 3 years legally belongs to my business entity. In plain English, you're getting nothing. You'll walk out of here with your suitcases, your little book collections, and your pride. If you're lucky, I won't ask the court for spousal support to cover my legal fees." Chloe giggled from beneath the sheets. It was sickening. "Is that your final offer?" I asked quietly. "It's not an offer, sweetie. It's a reality check," Mark scoffed, rolling his eyes as if dealing with an annoying child. "Sign the papers by Friday, or I'll make things really difficult for you." I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just turned around, walked out of the house, checked into a boutique hotel downtown, and made a single phone call. I called Marcus Vance. If you live on the East Coast and you're involved in high-stakes corporate or matrimonial litigation, Marcus Vance is the name you whisper in fear. He's a bulldog who charges $1,000 an hour and eats opposing counsel for breakfast. When I told Marcus my situation and sent him the financial documents Mark had so carelessly left accessible on our home desktop, including every single corporate ledger, hidden asset, and backdoor transfer Mark had executed over the past 2 years, Marcus let out a low, appreciative whistle. "Clara," Marcus said over the phone, "your husband is not just unfaithful. He is profoundly, criminally stupid." For the next 3 months, Mark lived in a state of absolute euphoria. He thought he was winning. He moved Chloe into our house, my house, bought with my trust fund money before we were even married, though he had somehow manipulated the deed during a refinancing phase to add his name. He gloated to our mutual friends, painting me as a fragile, hysterical woman who couldn't handle a real man's ambition. He sent me text messages every week demanding I sign the papers, taunting me with pictures of his new life. I ignored every single one of them. I let him dig his own grave, line by line, document by document. Finally, the day of the final settlement hearing arrived. The courtroom was quiet, smelling of old paper and floor wax. Mark walked in wearing a bespoke charcoal suit, flanked by his attorney, a high-priced corporate lawyer named Richard Sterling, a man with slicked back, silver hair, and an expression that suggested he smelled something foul every time he looked at ordinary people. Mark spotted me sitting alone on the defendant's side of the room. I was wearing a simple, understated navy blazer, my hair tied back in a neat bun. He leaned over to Sterling, whispered something, and both of them laughed. Mark looked at me with pure, unadulterated condescension, mouthing the words, "Just sign it and save us the embarrassment." I gave him a small, polite smile. That smile should have warned him. It should have sent cold chills down his spine. But arrogance is a blinding disease. The judge, a sharp, no-nonsense woman named Judge Harrison, settled behind her desk, adjusted her glasses, and looked over the towering stack of paperwork submitted by Marcus Vance. "We are here for the final dissolution of marriage and asset distribution in the matter of Mark and Clara Sterling," Judge Harrison announced, her voice echoing in the chamber. "Counsel, I have reviewed the final forensic accounting report submitted by the petitioner's legal team. Mr. Sterling, your representation submitted a filing claiming that the respondent, Clara Sterling, is entitled to zero marital assets due to corporate separation clauses." Attorney Sterling stood up, buttoning his jacket with supreme confidence. "That is correct, Your Honor," Sterling purred, flashing a practiced, charming smile. "My client built a thriving portfolio and a corporate holding entity over the course of this marriage. The respondent contributed virtually nothing to this financial growth. Her income is negligible. To award her anything would be a gross miscarriage of financial justice. Mr. Sterling simply wishes to move on with his life, leaving the respondent with her personal belongings, as initially outlined." Judge Harrison didn't blink. She turned a page in the thick dossier. Her expression grew colder by the degree. "Mr. Sterling," the judge said, looking directly at Mark's lawyer, "are you entirely familiar with Section 4 of your client's corporate disclosures regarding the acquisition of capital assets in 2024? Sterling blinked, a fraction of his smugness slipping. "Well, Your Honor, standard corporate protocols apply." "Standard protocols do not apply when the seed capital used to fund those corporate entities originated not from corporate earnings, nor from Mr. Sterling's personal salary, but from a private, untangleable generational trust exclusively owned by Mrs. Sterling prior to marriage," Judge Harrison cut him off sharply. The courtroom went dead silent. Mark stopped smiling. His head snapped toward his lawyer. "What is she talking about?" Mark muttered, loud enough to be heard across the room. Sterling didn't answer. He was rapidly flipping through a set of papers, his hands suddenly looking a bit clumsy. Judge Harrison continued, her voice cutting like glass. "Furthermore, the forensic audit reveals that over the past 24 months, Mr. Sterling systematically funneled marital funds and trust principal into offshore accounts and shell LLCs registered under his name and his mistress's name, attempting to defraud the primary beneficiary of those funds. In legal terms, Mr. Sterling, that isn't just an asset distribution dispute. That is corporate fraud, grand larceny, and perjury, considering the signed affidavits you submitted to this court." Attorney Sterling's face instantly drained of color. All the blood rushed out of his cheeks, leaving him looking like a ghost in a bespoke suit. He dropped his pen with a sharp clack against the wooden table. Your Honor," Sterling stammered, his professional composure completely shattering. "There must be some misunderstanding. We haven't had time to review these specific forensic disclosures." "You've had 3 months, counsel," Judge Harrison snapped. She looked down at the final page, picked up her pen, and looked straight at Mark, who was now sweating profusely under his collar. "Mr. Sterling," the judge said, reading the final summary, "your attempt to strip your wife of her livelihood while utilizing her own family wealth to fund a fraudulent corporate shell game has come to an end. The court hereby dissolves the marriage, grants full, unencumbered ownership of the primary residence, all corporate holdings, all subsidiary accounts, and all real estate portfolios to Clara Sterling." Mark lurched half out of his chair. "What? You can't do that? That's my company. That's my life's work," he shouted, panic cracking his voice. "Sit down, Mr. Sterling, before I hold you in contempt," Judge Harrison warned, her voice dropping to a dangerous, icy register. "And as for the financial settlement to cover damages, legal fees, and the recovery of hidden trust assets..." The judge paused, looking down at the final astronomical figure calculated by our forensic team, a number that represented not just everything Mark had stolen, but penalties, interest, and the liquidation of every single asset he thought he owned. When Judge Harrison read that final number aloud, the color didn't just drain from Mark's face. He looked like he was about to physically collapse. Attorney Sterling buried his face in his hands, realizing his career was tied to a sinking ship of absolute idiocy. I turned around slowly in my chair and looked back at Mark. He was staring at me, his eyes wide with absolute terror, his mouth opening and closing like a fish out of water. All that laughter, all that arrogance, all those smug comments gone in a single second. I didn't smile this time. I didn't gloat. I just stood up, smoothed down the front of my navy blazer, picked up my briefcase, and walked out of the courtroom into the bright, beautiful sunlight, completely free. If this story taught you anything, guys, it's never to underestimate someone who chooses to stay quiet while you run your mouth. If you enjoyed this story and want to hear more wild legal revenge breakdowns, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the notification bell so you never miss an update. Drop a comment below letting me know what you would have done in my shoes. Until next time, stay safe out there.